What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here's Logical Response. I cover political news. And folks, I don't know if they're doing this on purpose, but Republicans, or at least Mike Johnson, is playing 4D chess here. They are putting Democrats in a very, very tough position, and Democrats are playing right into the Republicans' hands. Like I said, if Mike Johnson knows that this is what is going on, and I do believe they do because they've come out right and said it, y'all. And what the hell am I even talking about? Let's get into that. House Republicans push to link government funding to a citizenship check for new voters. Now, we've talked about this before in the past. That was kind of speculation, but now it looks like they are going forward with this maneuver, and this is great. This is, once again, like I said, this is going to put Democrats in a tough position on 2 points, because first, you're going to have to explain to the American people why you want non-citizens to vote in elections, because that's the only reason you could have to vote against the SAVE Act, vote against tying the SAVE Act to the appropriations bill, right? These people love to put all these bills together. They love the omnibus bills, especially the Senate. The Senate loves these. They just constantly let's throw everything together so we can get all our spending stuffs in here, all of our pork. And point number 2, okay, so now if you go against this, you're running the risk of a government shutdown, right? If the House Republicans pass this, then it's going to be on the Senate. But of course, what they're going to try to do, they're going to try to play, oh, not me, it's your fault. It's your fault. But it comes on Democrats, because if it passes in the House and the Senate chooses not to go through and vote on it, that's on them. That's their choice. It's not Republicans' choice. They passed the bill. They passed the appropriations. They done their job. So when it comes to the Senate, just because you don't like it, they're going to be responsible for the government shutdown. But once again, it's Democrats, so they're going to try to blame the other side. And it's all insanity, y'all. House Speaker Mike Johnson is heeding the demands of the more conservative wing of his Republican conference and has teed up a vote this week on a bill that would keep the federal government funded for 6 more months and require states to obtain proof of citizenship, such as a birth certificate or passport, when registering a person to vote. Congress needs to approve a stopgap spending bill before the end of the budget year on September 30th to avoid a government shutdown just a few weeks before voters go to the polls and elect the next president. Johnson's decision to combine the proof of citizenship mandate with government funding complicates prospects for getting that task done. The bill is not expected to go anywhere in the Democratic-controlled Senate, if it even makes it that far. But the effort could help Johnson next year should House Republicans retain their majority and he seeks to become Speaker again. The votes also could give Republicans an issue to go after Democrats in competitive swing districts, as Republicans make immigration-related matters a campaign cornerstone. Because it is. It's destroying the country, for crying out loud. Look what's going on in Aurora, Colorado. Venezuelan gangs have taken over an apartment complex, and the cops are not doing a damn thing about it. And it's not just there. We've got stories from all over the damn place. Chicago, Los Angeles, places like this. We've seen violence in New York. We've seen violence in Georgia. Criminal alien criminality is on the rise. And this is solely the fault of the Biden administration. Once again, I always say this because these people aren't supposed to be here. They allowed these people to come in. It's their fault. Today, House Republicans are taking a critical, important step to keep the federal government funded and to secure our federal elections process, Johnson said Friday. Congress has a responsibility to do both, and we must ensure that only American citizens can decide American elections. Democrats will oppose the GOP effort overwhelmingly and warn that any continuing resolution must have buy-in from both political parties. They said Johnson was making the same mistake then Speaker Kevin McCarthy did a year ago as he tried to placate conservatives. No, this is way different. Like, what are they talking about here? This is way different than what Kevin McCarthy did, as a matter of fact, right? Kevin McCarthy went and worked with Democrats, went into the back rooms, didn't notify Republicans of this deal he was making with Democrats to keep the government funded, right? It was another continuing resolution, sure. But Republicans are on board with this, for crying out loud. They're tying the SAVE Act to this. This is a totally different situation. Completely different. Mike Johnson is not going to work with Democrats in a back room somewhere to betray the Republican Party to get this done. He's doing it all out in the front with support from the Republicans. So how is this the same at all? It's not. But they're going to lie to you. They're going to lie. That's what the corporate press does. These people, I just don't understand why they would lie about something as simple as this. This is the stupidest lie, and that's what it always is. Like, most of the time. Most of these lies are just ridiculous. Like, why lie about this? It makes absolutely no sense. There's no gain for the corporate press to do this whatsoever, right? It only hurts them because when it's pointed out, when people read this article and think, hang on, that's a totally different situation. Why would they say this? Yeah, it only hurts the corporate press. Once again, credibility at this point is gone. In the end, they rejected his efforts, forcing him to rely on Democrats to get a temporary spending bill passed. Then they even go on to refute their own message here. What? That fight led just a few days later to 8 Republicans joining with Democrats in removing McCarthy from the Speaker's job. Yeah, go Matt Gaetz. Republicans say that requiring proof of citizenship would ensure U.S. elections are only for American citizens, improving confidence in the nation's federal election system, something that Trump has sought to undermine over the years. Here we go again, folks. Another lie from the corporate press. When has Donald Trump sought to undermine the confidence in our elections? He is constantly talking about election integrity, for crying out loud. Like, what are they talking about? These people are insane, y'all. Opponents say it is already against the law for non-citizens to vote in federal elections and that the document requirements would disenfranchise millions of people who do not have the necessary documents readily available when they get a chance to register, say at a concert, county fair, or at a college voter registration drive. Let me ask you guys just a quick inquiry, right quick. Yeah, how often do you go and register to vote at a concert? That's silly. And I would say to this, so what? What's your problem here? If these people want to register to vote, they need to prove they're a citizen. Birth certificates are not hard to come by. Social security numbers are not hard to come by. Proof you live here is not hard to come by. If you know you're going to need the documentation, get the documentation before you go to register to vote. That's all you need to do. That's not that hard of a step. These people, the Democrats and the corporate press, they're trying to make it up like it's some impossibility to do. It's not that hard, y'all. I've got my birth certificate right there in a filing cabinet inside my house, as do most people. In an earlier vote on the voter registration bill, Republicans unanimously backed it, while all but 5 Democrats voted against it. Oh, so it did have bipartisanship. So what the hell is Chuck Schumer talking about? President Joe Biden's administration strongly opposed that measure, saying the alleged justification for the bill is easily disproven. How? How is it easily disproven? Wait, maybe they say it. Some Republicans are arguing that if Schumer will allow a vote, assuming the bill passes the House, then a government shutdown would be on him. Yes, that is a matter of fact. Because if the bill passes in the House, it's out of their hands. And if the Senate does not want to vote on what the House passed, how is that the House's fault? Somebody please explain that logic to me down in the comment section, because I would love to know. If you get something that now is your responsibility and you don't do whatever you need to do with that responsibility, how is that somebody else's fault? Once again, these people take no accountability for their actions whatsoever, ever. I know I said that twice, but they don't. They want to try to blame this on Republicans just because they don't like it. This is what the Democrats constantly do. They do this all the time. It's aggravating. If Chuck Schumer decides he doesn't want to bring it, then Chuck Schumer will be deciding that he wants to shut down government. It's not us, said Senator Rick Scott during an interview on Fox Business. This is totally correct. The logic, let's see, carry the two. Yep, the logic works out on this one. Trump and other Republicans have revved up their complaints about the issue of non-citizens voting with the influx of migrants across the U.S.-Mexico border under Biden's administration. Oh, what happened to Biden-Harris administration? Yeah, you notice the corporate press, they only call it the Biden-Harris administration when it's advantageous for them to do so. When it's a negative for the Biden administration, then they only say it's only the Biden administration. They don't throw Harris in there whatsoever. Yeah, you got to notice stuff like this. These people are evil, folks. Outright evil. They are manipulating you at every single turn. And it's crazy. They are contending Democrats let them in to add them to the voter rolls, but the available evidence shows that non-citizen voting in federal elections is incredibly rare. Are you sure about that? Because I've been covering many stories about this in just Texas, by the way, just Texas. They are going through and cleaning up voter rolls, finding thousands of illegals on their voter rolls. Thousands, right? Then we got the HAVV, where we have all these people registering to vote without an ID and without a social security number. How many American citizens do you know don't have a social security number? Let me know down in the comments. How many Americans don't have social security numbers? I'd love to know that. Another major question to address as part of the short-term spending bill is how long to extend funding. Before the August recess, House Appropriations Committee Chair Tom Cole said he preferred that the next president be available to pursue top priorities without the distraction of a messy spending fight. But the House Freedom Caucus is banking on Trump winning the White House and putting the GOP in better position to secure the spending cuts and policy priorities they desire. So they want to extend funding until after the inauguration in January. Yeah, this is a very good idea because it's pretty much a guarantee that when Trump comes in, he's going to knock off at least $1.7 trillion from the budget of the federal government. Hopefully. That's what I'm banking on, right? That's what I want to see. And it only makes sense that they do so considering we're spending in a $1.7 trillion deficit. You shouldn't be allowed, right? There should be some sort of a bill that anybody that votes for spending in a deficit should not be allowed to be eligible for an election ever again, for any position at all, ever again. That's what I think. That would eliminate any deficit spending whatsoever. And that would clean up our government a lot. Just that one thing. Then, if you get rid of the lobby interest in Washington, D.C., we would have almost a non-corrupt government, y'all. Corruption would go down by 90%. At least that's what I think. Congress returns to Washington on Monday after spending the past 5 weeks back in their home states and districts. The short-term bill is necessary because the House and Senate are nowhere near completing their work on the dozen annual spending bills that keep government agencies and programs operational during the coming budget year. So far, the House has passed 5 of the 12 annual spending bills, while the Senate has passed none. Though the Senate has opted to take a more bipartisan approach to the challenge by moving 11 of the bills through the Senate Appropriations Committee with broad support from lawmakers in both parties. Once again, like I said, folks, the Senate loves omnibus bills. They love putting all this garbage together because then they can tack on all these little pet projects and all this garbage to keep us spending in a deficit, for crying out loud. That's what they love to do. They don't care about you. That's what I say to this. Otherwise, they would vote in the interests of the American people, not in their own interests. Putting all this stuff together in an omnibus, right? That's their own interests doing that, because there's no interest for the American citizen to have all these appropriations put together, because then if you don't like one little thing in there, you're not going to not vote on all this because of that one little thing. This is what they bank on. It's insanity, y'all. Outright insanity. Meanwhile, Republicans in the House are using their majority to push bills through with the vast majority of Democrats in opposition. Yeah, it's because Democrats are insane, and they don't like logic, and they don't like fiscal responsibility. They don't like voting in the interests of their own constituents. They only want to vote in the interests of the lobbyists. That's what they do. That's what is very apparent by this article. It's very apparent. Of course, I get that from all the corporate press articles that I read on a constant basis. It's very clear to see that most politicians, Republicans and Democrats alike, don't care about their constituents. Don't care whatsoever. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.